My GreenStalks are always teaching me new things about how plants grow, not just in the GreenStalk, but in the garden in general. It's also teaching me things about myself and what brings me joy. So today we're going to do a little bit of a retrospective on spring and summer in the GreenStalks, and we're going to be doing a little bit of cleanup. I'm going to be getting one more GreenStalk ready for the fall. And if we haven't met before, my name is Tara. I garden in the Bay Area, and I am the proud owner of 12 GreenStalks, soon to be 14. There's 2 more colors coming, so stay tuned. I'm going to be setting those up as well. But I've got an entire playlist dedicated to GreenStalk content, tips and tricks and how to do things in new and innovative ways, let's call it that, in the GreenStalk. So I'll put a link to that over here. And it's been curated so that for the beginner gardener particularly, you're going to find it really helpful, I think. So this is the GreenStalk that we're going to be cleaning up and refreshing today. But before we do that, let me do a quick spin around and show you what I've been doing so far. Because I've got about half of them done, but there's still a few more to go. And I want to find some quick ways to get them set up without having to really tire myself out. I do the complete refresh once a year, but then between seasons, I like to just refresh as much as possible without taking the whole thing down and putting it back up. So let's take a look from this angle. You can quickly tell which ones I've already done and which ones are still to be done. Now I've already got this one planted up with my fall veggies, but this season, I'm going to be doing a little bit more thoughtful organization of my GreenStalks. These have been kind of haphazard, but not really. I mean, I have organized them according to water needs, according to, large plants at the bottom, smaller plants at the top, that kind of thing. And I've got a whole video dedicated to how you plan your GreenStalk. But what I'm doing different this time is I am actually going to be even more specific about what I plant. So say, for example, right here, this little Halloween ghost here has only brassicas in it. Now I'm going to pull it down and show it real quick to you, but the idea is that brassicas tend to be attacked by aphids, by cabbage, the moth, the caterpillar thing, and then whiteflies also get to them. So they are very pest prone, need the insect cover. So this is only my brassicas, and they are hopefully well protected. Let's take a look. So I planted this up not too long ago at all. I'd say a week, maybe 10 days tops. I planted a lot of them from seed, and I'll show you that right now. And then some of them actually had transplants. We'll talk about that as well. Let me show you. Yeah, I'm using this netting for the first time. It is, the sound, by the way, that's acorns. So if an acorn falls on my head and I pass out in front of the camera, I don't know, call 911 or something. Never mind. Anyway, I was doing a live stream the other day. Sorry, slight digression here. And I do a live stream every first Saturday of the month on the topic of GreenStalks. Specifically, I often have a fun special guest who also grows in GreenStalks. And so Chris McDonald and I were talking. And while we were talking, boom, an acorn fell on my head. It almost gave me a concussion. I think it's my squirrels. I think they're up there throwing stuff at me because they do not like the fact that I am covering my GreenStalk and they cannot dig and bury their acorns in it. That's another reason why this cover is so helpful. But yeah, it's a really sturdy material. I've got other insect netting covers that I've got from like Amazon and stuff. Nothing compared to this. This is solid, strong, lets the light through, and does its job. Now it's meant for a 5-tier, so it's a little extra long because I kind of tend to keep my GreenStalks a little bit less, like 4 tiers height in general. And I had to put these stakes on the top to lift it off some of the plants over here. But in general, this trellis is what you want to kind of hold it away from the plants. Let's pull you closer so we can see what's going on in here. So beautiful and well protected. I've got a bunch of microgreens in here, and these I started from seed. Look how lush they're growing. They should be ready to harvest in about a week or so. And then in each tier, I've got 2 large brassicas. So for example, this is a Dutch flat cabbage. And I've got another one on the opposite side over here. And I've kind of got them staggered. So the next level down, I've got, what is this? I think it's broccoli. I think the label's on that side. I think it's broccoli, Bell Star broccoli. And then on the top, I've got cauliflower. So I've got 2 of each in these tiers. And then in this top tier, I've got some empty pockets actually, so I'll probably plant some more salad greens. I like to do salad greens and microgreens kind of staggered so that I don't have to eat them all in one shot. I've got some leftover celery that I want to do a hard prune back and have it grow again. And I've got some thyme and some other things still happening over there. But this is the bulk of it. Oh, and I've got an odd straggler beet. I had that in there already and I didn't have the heart to pull it out when I redid this thing. So I'm letting it continue to grow. But yeah, this netting, super helpful. I think it also helped the seedlings germinate faster because it kind of kept a little bit of that humidity in there while still letting the light through. And then behind me, I've not got it planted up yet, but I've got this whole tower that I'm going to be dedicating to strawberries one last time. So speaking of lessons learned, this is a lesson that is probably one of the hardest for me because when I got GreenStalks the very first time in 2021 February, I got a leaf GreenStalk, 7-tier leaf. The whole intent of that GreenStalk was to grow strawberries. And I did grow strawberries, but they were beautiful, by the way. Large strawberries, they look great. When I bit into them, they were just tasteless, watered down. And I think the reason is because I watered it too much. I just don't have that kind of control where I can let the plants dry out to a certain extent. I just keep watering, and I've got all of my GreenStalks on irrigation as well. And even though I can control the amount of flow of the water, because the strawberries were mixed in with other things, I just gave it the water that everything else got, and that was just too much for the strawberries. So I think that's the reason, but there may be other reasons as well. And if you've grown strawberries, tasty strawberries, sweet strawberries very successfully, please, please, please let me know what I need to do differently, because it's just not working out for me. And if this doesn't work out this one last time, where I'm going to be dedicating a tower to strawberries, keeping the water in control, I'll be probably growing Albion strawberries. That's the variety, and hopefully that's a good one. I've tried Seascape as well. People said that that was great. It didn't turn out great for me in the GreenStalk. So yeah, give me some tips, and if it's not going to work this time for me, I probably will not grow. Never say never, but I probably will not grow it for a while. All right, spinning around to this GreenStalk, which I actually just showed you. This is lettuce for the most part, and on the top I've got some spinach that I'm growing. So this is going to be leafy greens in general. I'm going to be succession planting. I've got some that I'm letting go to a head, form a head, but I'm pinching and eating from them already. And then these I'm going to be eating as baby lettuce greens. So I've got plenty of lettuce. I am noticing that caterpillars have been eating them. So I might have to come and spray with BT. I want to try to avoid that. I'll try and pick them out as much as possible, but we'll see. And by the way, you guys, these seed houses, they are the bomb. If you want to start anything from seed in a GreenStalk, oh my gosh, this really, really helps. It keeps the humidity in. And for me, especially, it protects it from squirrels. Squirrels like to go in there and dig and bury their acorns. And I'm never able to grow seedlings from seed. And this really makes a difference. Though once I actually caught a squirrel trying to squeeze in over here. They're very daring, my squirrels. But these seed houses really help. And as you can see, it's fairly easy to water. They're not that tight against it. All right, let's start pruning this one back. That's the first thing that I like to do when I am transitioning a GreenStalk. It is heartbreaking to actually take out plants that are still producing, like this eggplant over here. Look at this huge white eggplant, and it's still producing. So I hate to take it out. But what I found is if I start pruning really, really hard, then I get more comfortable taking things out because they aren't looking as pretty anymore once you've cut off all the branches. And then sometimes I actually cut a branch by accident and then I'm forced to pull out the plant. So that's what I'm going to do, is prune it back, and I'm going to be removing the trellis. And while we're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about trellising. But first, let me show you all the things I like to gather together when I'm getting this process going, because the last thing that you want to do is have to be running to get tools or hoses or trying to find soil or something when you're kind of in the flow doing your GreenStalk. It's not a fun thing to do, to take down a GreenStalk and transition it between seasons. So make it easy on yourself and get yourself organized before that. Let me show you. So I got this little gorilla cart with some of the things that I'm going to need. I'm going to be needing a trash can. And what is my microphone doing in the trash can? I like to have little containers with soil because sometimes I pull out plants, but I want to keep them, like peppers and things. I want to try to overwinter. So I quickly plant them right up in a container like this. So keep a few of those handy. I don't plan to pull anything out today, and I'll tell you why in just a bit, but that's one of the things you want to have. I've got vinegar. Vinegar for me is very important. This is actually half strength vinegar, but the reason I have it is because look at this, you guys. Hard water stains. I've got really hard water where I am. I use well water, and vinegar really helps take it out. But yeah, it doesn't look pretty. That's why I have decided that going forward, I'm going to get lighter colored GreenStalks. They don't show as much, you know, the hard water stains as something like this. I've also got a harvest basket because I know I'm going to be collecting some harvests as well as maybe some of the things that I'm going to be saving for seeds. And then finally, I've got my seed houses like I talked about, and I want to show you my special seed starting DIY thing, but I'll show you that in just a moment. It's a fun thing that I made myself. And of course, gotta have gloves and a pruner and the tool that I cannot do without in the garden, my Hori-Hori tool. Every gardener needs a Hori-Hori tool, but that's another topic for a different video. So this GreenStalk, I am not going to be unstacking. I'm just going to be backfilling it. I usually unstack once a year. That's it. I don't want to do it more than that because it's a lot of work. So I'm going to be pruning these back. Now, the summer GreenStalks particularly take a lot of the nutrients out of the soil. So I'm going to have to amend it with some good slow release fertilizer. And I also love to add worm castings. But let's get this going, shall we? So this is a tomato plant that just didn't do anything for me. However, it was the most productive tomato plant in my raised beds. I actually have a planter. This is a purple Rosella purple dwarf tomato plant. It produced one tomato for me. So, lesson learned. I'm actually not going to be growing tomatoes anymore in the GreenStalk, you guys. They just get tall and lanky, even the dwarf varieties, and they just want a vine. That's just the nature of the beast. So I will be growing micro tomatoes. They grow like 6 to 8 inches tall, and they work perfect in the GreenStalk. But these things, they also don't look pretty when they are vining. And then for me, squirrels eat all the tomatoes. So that's another story. How do I protect my GreenStalks against the squirrels? I can't, right? So that's another lesson that I've learned is grow things that the squirrels don't enjoy. That means no tomatoes, no zucchini, no melons and things like that, and no strawberries. So yeah, this is the last time I'm growing tomatoes in the GreenStalk. Never say never though, right? Let's actually harvest some of the things that we want to keep. I showed you that eggplant, so let's get it. Have you ever seen a more beautiful eggplant than this? I just love it. It actually is pretty productive, but it just didn't produce too well. Eggplants, I think I'll grow the smaller varieties, but not the larger varieties, not in the GreenStalk. And again, it's one of those things that just likes to do that, right? So I've got another one here. I am going to be saving these for seed. This one is actually that one as well. Both of them are pretty mature. So I will be saving seeds for eggplants. And by the way, I've got a trick on how to save seeds for eggplants very effectively. If you'd like to watch that video, I'll put a link to it somewhere here. Let's get this eggplant out of here. And while I'm doing that, you guys, I want to show you this trellis. Now, many of you, especially if you're on the Facebook Gardeners group, you've probably seen many people buy and like have one of these in each of the pockets of the trellis. So I got it. I figured, you know, it's fairly cheap. Why not? And initially I liked it, but now I absolutely hate it. It is so lightweight. And if you're growing a plant that is like maybe 6 inches tall, some herbs or something, yeah, it'll work. But anything more than that, this thing cannot hold up. I'll actually show you my other GreenStalks where I tried using these and they just don't work. So don't waste your money on this. Buy the GreenStalk one instead. I mean, I keep coming back to it, right? I always go try to buy something cheap on Amazon. The movers were another example. I got something cheap on Amazon, spent all that money, wasted all that money, replaced everything with the GreenStalk Ultimate Spinner, and it really works. So yeah, if you can afford to buy the GreenStalk product, it's a little bit more, just save your money and buy the GreenStalk product. One of the plants that I just cut is this plant. This is a Japanese tiger melon, and it actually is a nice, cute little melon. It produced quite well for me. I got about maybe 7 or 8 out of this plant, but these melons are actually totally tasteless. So grow it if you want to grow it for the fun of it, but don't grow it if you want to eat it. There's so many other better choices. But speaking of trellises, here's another thing that I did is I went and got this arch trellis, and I am so excited to grow sweet peas on it during fall. Look at Mr. Sloth over there. He's happy as well. But one thing that I did, this was in spring actually, and won't be doing again, is I used my Texas tomato cages. And if you have seen any of my prior videos, you know that I like to trellis on top. Yeah, so here's one of those Texas tomato cages. These are wonderful cages, by the way. They're a little bit expensive. I got them for free on Nextdoor. But the nice thing about them is you can stack and stack and stack. So this is about, I think, 3 feet tall. I stacked one more level on top. So it was like 6 feet tall on top of a 4-tier GreenStalk, and I grew sweet peas up. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful, but it fell. And it fell again, and it fell a third time. And while it was a fun experiment, yeah, don't trellis your GreenStalks too high. But this is an interesting idea, this arch trellis. But the problem with it is once you install it, you cannot turn your GreenStalk. So as long as it's getting sunshine all around, I think you're okay to trellis with this one. But if not, if you want to move it, do not use this arch trellis. So while I'm continuing to clean up this GreenStalk, one thing you'll notice is that I have not been very adventurous with colors for the GreenStalks. In fact, I had terracotta for the longest time, and I thought that that was the only color I was ever going to have. And then terracotta became a limited color, and I was devastated. But then I slowly started graduating to other colors. I got the evergreen, and actually raspberry was the one that completely changed my perspective on colors, and then I just wanted more and more colors. And I'll show you my raspberries in a bit. In fact, you can't even see them because they're covered with plants. But yeah, raspberry, and now I've got the blueberry, I've got lemon, and I'm getting another couple of colors as well shortly. Now, I have not quite gotten into the mix and match colors on the GreenStalks. I know a lot of people like doing that, but give me a little bit of time. Maybe I'll get used to the idea. But for now, I'm staying with single color GreenStalks, but lots of different colors. Okra didn't do well for me either in the GreenStalks. It doesn't do well for me in general in my climate, but I don't think I'll be growing okra in the GreenStalk either. There aren't too many varieties that are small and compact that will grow well in the GreenStalk, and I need the humidity, which I don't have with my climate. But if you've had success growing okra, let me know which climate you're in and what variety you grew. Now, I'm really excited about this arch trellis. I actually first saw it when GreenStalk posted a little video where they grew a time-lapse pole bean thing on it, and it was just amazing. I had to have it. I called them and they said, hey, it's not our product, but we got it on Amazon. They sent me the link and I immediately got it and set it up. It was kind of late in the season. I tried to grow melons on it. They didn't exactly take off, but I'm really excited, particularly for next summer. Not sure what I'll grow yet. Maybe pumpkins, some kind of melon, cucumbers. I don't know. Give me some ideas, you guys. Or should I just go with pole beans? I'll put a link to this trellis in the description. Caveat, it's not exactly top quality. I hope GreenStalk comes up with something like this. All right, the GreenStalk is all cleaned up, and I got a whole tote full of yard clippings that I'm going to be composting and send it for another round in the garden. But we got to refill the soil because these plants, they've been consuming quite a bit of that soil, and things have sort of compacted down a bit as well. So I usually DIY my soil mixes, and I always have a whole galvanized bin full of my DIY soil mix ready to go for my GreenStalk. Let me show you that. And I also want to talk about one of the things that I absolutely love in the GreenStalk, which is flowers, maybe even more than vegetables. And this is something that I learned about myself. I thought I got the GreenStalk for strawberries. I thought I got it for vegetables. Turned out I got it mostly for flowers, and I have a few new favorites this year that I want to talk about, but let's go take a look at that soil. So there's only two types of soil that I've used in my GreenStalk. This ProMix, this is what I first started with. I first filled my GreenStalk, my very first one, with that, and then after that I started making my own DIY mixes. Here's a bin right here, and it's basically just 1:1:1, 1 part of peat moss or coco coir, 1 part of compost and high quality compost, and 1 part of a mixture of perlite and vermiculite, and it's mainly for the water retention as well as for the lightness of the soil. Yeah, so I always say that with soil, don't spend a lot of money on soil. I know that, the high quality soil like Fox Farms and others, GreenStalk recommends those. And if you can afford it, definitely go for it, the highest quality soil. But if you really don't want to spend a lot of money or the soil is not on sale, then just take any potting soil that you buy in the market. It's got to be a potting mix. It can't be soil, nothing with heavy stuff in it that will cause any weight in the GreenStalk, because it's a vertical garden, and yeah, you do not want gravity that will really impact the growth of the plant. So you want something light and fluffy, and that's why I have perlite. So my recipe, in addition to my DIY, is just get any cheap potting soil that's on sale, potting mix that's on sale, and then mix in some high quality compost that you have or worm castings, and also mix in some slow release fertilizer, and then finally and most importantly mix in some perlite, because you need the lightness with the GreenStalk. That's probably the most important property of the soil that you use in your GreenStalk, is it's got to be lightweight. I brought you over here to show you my razzleberry GreenStalks. I've shown them to you in previous videos if you watched mine, but these looked beautiful in spring and then they just kind of got out of control. These I do nothing with. They've got irrigation and that's all they have. I do not pocket water, I do not add fertilizer, and these just grow like crazy. But some of the flowers that I absolutely love that are new to me this year, this is one of them actually. It's called Creeping Verbena, and it looks beautiful when it's in full bloom. It likes the cooler weather, and it's just starting to bloom again as the weather is cooling off. The rest of the flowers over here are geraniums, and I just can't wait for them to start blooming. I think the star will look gorgeous. I think they need a little bit of fertilizer. The leaves are looking really yellow. Another flower which tends to be a favorite of mine, but I have to really manage, is Sweet Alyssum. Now, it is one of my favorites, but I'm going to try and grow a small compact variety. It's called Tiny Tim. I've seen it in botanical interests, and I'm going to try and grow that in future because I'm constantly chopping this thing back and it just keeps growing and growing. There's another Creeping Verbena. They come in so many colors and they're so pretty when they're in full bloom. They get really, really colorful. Another one is Marguerite Daisies. Now, Marguerite Daisies just get covered in blooms. If you can get a hold of that, they grow super well in the GreenStalk, but they do not like the hot weather very much. So during the cooler climates, spring, early summer, fall, they look absolutely gorgeous. Here are a couple of other GreenStalks. This is one of the flowers that I'm totally in love with. Guess what these are, you guys? These are petunias, believe it or not. Have you ever seen such pretty petunias? These are called Greetings from Jeremiah. And remember that trellis that I was talking about? Well, this thing, unfortunately, has a very thick, heavy stem, and it's very brittle. Without a trellis, it will just flop over. I've had so many branches break, and then finally I put this trellis in here. This is a GreenStalk product, and it was like, the plants breathed a sigh of relief. But before that, I tried things like this. Yeah, they just don't work, you guys. These plants are too heavy for them. So Zinnias, forget it. I've got these two trying to hold it together. They can't be controlled. And by the way, another lesson learned, do not grow full-size zinnias in your GreenStalk. They are too tall and leggy. I wanted to prune this and keep it under control. I was not able to. It just wants to grow tall and leggy. And the flowers themselves are beautiful, but the GreenStalk, not so much. Oh, and by the way, another flower that I will always grow in the GreenStalk, just discovered this year, is Vinca. Yes, grow Vinca, you guys. It is a long-lasting flower, will bloom through the heat of summer, and if you live in zones 10 through 11, 12, it will be a perennial for you in your garden. So it'll come back year over year. So I'm actually growing them from seed as well. They reseed very easily. You can see a few over there. So I am hoping that I will have plants for next year. I'll keep them in my greenhouse and keep them cozy. And hopefully I won't have to buy any next year. I've got a blueberry GreenStalk over here as well. It was full of petunias, and it has some snapdragons at the bottom as well. But you can see the weight of this. I mean, this really needs to come up. I need more trellises. But I did a fun AI experiment with this before I made it. I wanted to see what AI thought it would look like if I had petunias in the upper two tiers and snapdragons in the lower. So that's what it showed me, but clearly my GreenStalk doesn't look anything like that. Now, these petunias, if they had more time, if the weather was warmer, they would be much more pretty and be blooming much more profusely. So I will be planting them earlier. But yeah, you can grow petunias from seed. By the way, folks, I am a GreenStalk affiliate. This is my affiliate link, and you can get $10 off with my code GREENLOVE10. I really appreciate you subscribing to my channel and supporting it as well. Thank you so much. Now let's go and finish up the job of amending that GreenStalk and planting some seeds. So I just need to backfill the pockets first, but first I'm going to be putting some slow release fertilizer in each of these pockets. I will chop down these little sticks a little bit more so that they don't start growing again. And oh, by the way, you want to take out the acorns or you'll have oak trees growing in your GreenStalk. Now, if you want to know what that is actually irrigation that I have installed in each tier. It works really, really well, and I put a link to it somewhere on the screen or at the end of this video. And yeah, I like to put some slow release fertilizer and then top it up with some soil and water it in. Oh, I almost forgot to show you what's in the bag. So these are my own DIY seed starting aids. So I've cut these little pieces of plastic into a pocket shape. And this basically is some leftover plastic fabric that we had from redoing our outdoor chairs. And it fits nicely in the GreenStalk because it's cut to shape. So you put your seeds in, and then this just kind of slides onto it. I might have to cut it a little bit more. But yeah, this works really well to protect the seeds. And then, of course, you got to check regularly because as soon as the seeds sprout, you got to lift it off. And this thing actually does let a little bit of light through as well, so it's kind of nice. But yeah, any little piece of plastic cut to shape should do the job. I hope you enjoyed this video, folks, and here's the playlist with all the great GreenStalk content for you to watch next. At least I hope it's great. People have said it is, and they've also said that it's binge-worthy. So put it on your TV and let it be your background noise while you're cooking, cleaning your kitchen, whatever you're doing. Until next time, live green and love your greens.